I still hear her whispers in the night, soft and haunting. It was the last time I saw her, and the memory chills me to the bone. The village was quiet, but the air felt heavy, as if something terrible was about to happen. I was just a boy then, but I knew that something was wrong with Amina. Amina was a poor girl from our village. She lived with her grandmother in a small hut made of mud and straw. They had little to eat, and Amina often went to bed hungry. Despite her struggles, she was always kind. She would share what little she had with others, even when she had nothing. I admired her for that, but I also worried for her. One evening, I found Amina sitting by the river, her face pale and her eyes distant. I approached her, hoping to cheer her up. "Amina, why do you look so sad?" I asked. She turned to me, and for a moment, I saw fear in her eyes. "I hear them," she whispered. "The voices in the water." I laughed, trying to lighten the mood. "It's just the wind, Amina. Water doesn't talk." She shook her head, her expression serious. "No, it's different. They call to me. They want something." I felt a chill run down my spine. I didn't understand what she meant, but I could see that she was scared. As the days passed, Amina became more withdrawn. She stopped coming to the village to play and spent most of her time by the river. I tried to talk to her, but she would only stare into the water, lost in her thoughts. I began to worry that something was very wrong. One night, I couldn't sleep. I heard Amina's voice calling softly from outside. I crept out of my house and followed the sound. The moon was bright, and the shadows danced around me. I found her by the river, her face illuminated by the moonlight. She was talking to the water, her voice low and urgent. "Amina," I called out, but she didn't hear me. She was too far gone, lost in her own world. I felt a wave of fear wash over me. "Amina, please come back," I shouted, but she didn't respond. Suddenly, the water began to ripple and I saw shapes moving beneath the surface. I stepped back, my heart racing. "Amina, we need to go," I pleaded. But she just smiled, a strange, unsettling smile. "They want to help me," she said. "They understand my pain." I wanted to pull her away, but something held me back. I watched as she reached out her hand as if to touch the water. "Amina, don't!" I shouted, but it was too late. The water surged and she was pulled in. I screamed, but no sound came out. The next day, the village was in shock. Amina was gone, and no one knew what had happened. They searched the river, but there was no sign of her. I felt a deep sadness in my heart. I had lost my friend, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I could have saved her if I had acted faster. Days turned into weeks, and the village mourned, but I couldn't forget the way Amina had looked at the water, as if it held the answers to her pain. I began to hear whispers among the villagers. They spoke of a curse, of spee. Days turned into weeks, and the village mourned. But I couldn't forget the way Amina had looked at the water, as if it held the answers to her pain. I began to hear whispers among the villagers. They spoke of a curse, of spirits that lived in the river and took those who were lost. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Amina had been taken by something dark. One night, I decided to return to the river. I needed to know what had happened to her. The moon was full, casting an eerie glow on the water. I stood at the edge, my heart pounding. "Amina," I called out, my voice trembling. "Are you there?" For a moment, there was silence. Then I heard it, a soft whisper, like the wind through the trees. "Help me," it said. My heart raced. I knew that voice. It was Amina. I stepped closer to the water, my fear forgotten. "Amina, I'm here," I shouted. "I'll help you." The water rippled, and I could see her face, pale and ghostly, staring back at me. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. "They don't want you here." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean? Who doesn't want me here?" I asked, my voice shaking. Amina's expression was filled with sorrow, and I could see the pain in her eyes. "The spirits of the river, they are angry. They took me because I was lost, and now they want to keep me." I wanted to reach out to her, to pull her back from whatever darkness had claimed her. "Amina, I can help you. Just tell me what to do," I pleaded, desperation clawing at my throat. But she shook her head, tears streaming down her ghostly face. "You can't help me. I'm trapped. The river has claimed me, and I can't escape." The water began to swirl violently, and I stumbled back, fear gripping my heart. "No, Amina, please!" I cried out, but the current grew stronger, pulling her further away. "You have to fight. You're stronger than this." "I tried," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rushing water. "But the darkness is too strong. I can't find my way back." I felt a wave of despair wash over me. I had lost her once, and now I was losing her again. Amina, don't give up. Remember the times we played together, the laughter we shared. You have to hold on to that. For a moment, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. I remember, she said softly, but it's so hard. Then fight. You have to fight for your life, I shouted, my heart racing. You're not just a voice in the water. You're Amina, my friend. The water began to calm, and I could see her face more clearly. I'll try, she whispered, her voice filled with determination. But you have to promise me something. Anything, I replied, my heart pounding. Promise me you'll tell my story. Tell everyone what happened to me. Don't let them forget. I promise, Amina, I'll make sure everyone knows, I vowed, tears streaming down my face. As I spoke, the water surged again, and I felt a pull, as if the river was trying to take me too. No, I shouted, stepping back. Amina, don't let go. I won't, she said, her voice growing fainter. But you have to go now. You're not safe here. I can't leave you, I cried, my heart breaking. You have to, she insisted, her voice echoing in the night. You have to live. Promise me you'll be okay. I promise. I shouted, my voice filled with anguish. With one last look, Amina's face faded into the darkness, and the water calmed. I stumbled back, my heart heavy with grief. I had lost my friend, and I felt the weight of her words pressing down on me. The next day, I returned to the village, my heart aching. I gathered everyone and told them what had happened. I spoke of Amina's kindness, her struggles, and the darkness that had taken her. The villagers listened, their faces filled with sorrow. We must remember her, I said, my voice trembling. We must tell her story so that no one else falls into the river's grasp. From that day on, Amina's story became a part of our village's history. We spoke of her often, sharing her kindness and the lessons we learned from her life. We warned the children about the river, teaching them to respect its power and to never let despair take hold. Though Amina was gone, her spirit lived on in our hearts. We honored her memory by helping one another, sharing what little we had, and reminding each other that even in the darkest times, we could find light in our connections. The moral of Amina's story is that despair can lead us to dark places, but it is our love for one another that can guide us back to the light. We must remember those we have lost and share their stories, for in doing so, we keep their spirits alive.